at the table, Michelle Goldberg, opinion columnist with the New York Times, Jeremy Saland, criminal defense attorney who served as an assistant district attorney in the trial division of Manhattan DA's office, Brandy Zadrozny, my colleague and a senior reporter for NBC News and who covers, well, the worst parts of the internet. Speaking of the worst parts of the internet, let me start this off with the two best statements I've seen, just to start on a high note. I thought this from former Governor Asa Hutchinson was a good statement. Again, everyone's reacting. No one's seen the indictment. Like, literally, all these people, all this paper, no one knows what the indictment is, right? So just keep that in mind. This is former Governor Asa Hutchinson, a Republican, who said, "It is a dark day for America when a former president is indicted on criminal charges. While the grand jury found credible facts to support the charges, it is important the presumption of innocence follows Mr. Trump. We need to wait on the facts and for our American system of justice to work like it does for thousands of Americans every day. Finally, it is essential the decision on America's next president be made at the ballot box, not in the court system. Donald Trump should not be the next president. That should be decided by the voters." So I thought that was a pretty good one. And then here's Nancy Pelosi. This just came through. She said, "The grand jury has acted upon the facts and the law. No one is above the law, and everyone has a right to trial to prove innocence. Hopefully, the former president will peacefully respect the system, which grants him that right."
I mean, I thought the best statement came from one of the members of the Exonerated Five.
Yusuf Salam.
Yes, he just tweeted karma.
Yes.
You know, although, of course, you don't get indicted for karma. You get indicted for committing an actual crime, not just for being a wretched individual. What I think is important to remember, although we don't know the details of the indictment yet, and so, you know, all the speculation about whether or not this is a novel legal case, we just don't know. But I think we do have a pretty good idea that it's related to the payoffs to Stormy Daniel, possibly to Karen McDougal. There was reporting to that effect in the Wall Street Journal. And this is being treated as some kind of separate penny ante matter compared to, and certainly it doesn't compare to January 6th. It doesn't compare to trying to subvert the election, just trying to subvert the 2020 election. But I think it's important to remember that this actually was trying to subvert a different election.
Yes, correct.
Right? Yes. All of these cases, all of the crimes that Donald Trump finds himself either indicted for, investigated for, impeached for, are all about the kind of corrupt pursuit of power. And so this, you know, it's not, the 2016 election was so close. It was a rounding error, you know, by which he won in some of these states. And you just don't know whether, but for this crime that we know that Michael Cohen committed on Trump's behalf, whether Trump ever would have been president at all.
What do you think about the timeline here, and also just to the point that Michelle's making, the context and also the political pressure that is now going to be brought to bear on the office that you used to work at?
Well, as a preliminary matter, I think there's going to be a real awakening here, or reckoning, if you will. There's a vast difference between rhetoric and reality, and that's going to come home very, very soon. I'd like to think that...
Wait, what do you mean by that?
For President Trump and for the people who are really watching this and, you know, whole United States, no one wants to see a former president be indicted. I don't think that behooves or...
There are some people watching this right now who very much want to see a former president be indicted.
But what I mean by that, it's the whole system as we know it should be built on trust and honesty.
Yeah, sure.
There's nothing of greater value than that. And there needs to be accountability, whether it's the president or you or me.
Yeah.
But he also has that same entitlement of innocence before proven guilty. And what I mean by no one wants to see, I'm not talking about whether you're blue or whether you're red. I mean, just as a principle, we don't want to find ourselves here.
Yeah.
None of us do. Right. What joy and pleasure does that bring to our country? Yeah. It just breeds more divisiveness. So the timeline, though, is he's going to have to come back. No matter what Governor DeSantis says, he's coming. His bravado would not let him not come. So he will come, and he will meet that judge, and he will be arraigned, and he will be released. There's no bail for this matter. And we'll find out, is it 5 counts of falsifying business records? What, are these misdemeanors? I would assume not. Are these felonies? So it's going to be really in short order, and very quickly, we're going to learn what's going to happen, and we're going to...
No, go ahead. Yeah.
So we're going to learn what's going to happen, and then we'll find out the next steps from his defense team.
Just one more follow-up, and then I'll come to you, Brandy. I just, you know, I think there's always this fine line to walk, right? Which is that you don't want to stoke the worst. You don't want to catastrophize. You want to stoke the worst aspects of American culture and the sort of impetus towards extremism that we see in certain quarters. At the same time, you have to be cognizant of that. And I just think about like working in that office. I mean, the thing that is going to be dumped on the head of Alvin Bragg and that office every day, pumped through the system on every single platform to tens of millions of people day in, day out, that this guy, this individual is Satan, basically, is bringing down Trump. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot for him to deal with, and it's a lot for that office to deal with.
It's really, really unfortunate, and I'm saying that mildly. You have that office filled with good men and women, good people who are trying to do what's right. We can disagree, we can agree, whatever that means on a day-to-day basis or on a case-to-case basis, but that's just unfair. And that rhetoric and that anger that he's breeding, that he's growing, is just really divisive, and it's really hurtful. And I say hurtful, hopefully only in an emotional way and not in a physical way. Alvin Bragg is doing his job. If it turns out that this is a political witch hunt, the public will know. And you better believe a jury will know, too. So they deserve, meaning law enforcement deserves the benefit of the doubt, but Donald Trump deserves that proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Otherwise, he's innocent.
You were nodding your head as I was describing what is already starting and what is going to only get more intense, I think, as time goes on.
100%. So, like, something like this happens and we go to the worst places on the internet and we sort of look for what people are saying. And generally what people are saying is, this is political theater. We've seen impeachments. We've seen investigations. He's beat all of that. The top thing at one of the places that I look at right now says Teflon Don. You know, they are not concerned about him. They think he will beat this. He is their savior. The one thing that is concerning is that all eyes are on Bragg. He is the devil in this scenario. And so the amount of not just hate, but probable, likely, possible political violence that is really just honed in at him, that's really worrying. And the researchers that I talked to, that is the one thing that sticks out to them, that they're like, we're kind of okay. This isn't a January 6th moment where all these groups will come together for this one purpose. But there is one thing that they have on their sites, and it's Bragg.
I want to ask, for people watching this, I've had this conversation a bunch of times with people who've said, I don't like this case. And I've said this myself, and not that I don't like this case, because it's not for me to like or not like. I mean, the facts and the law are what they are. I haven't seen the indictment. What I do feel like is the greatest crime that Donald Trump committed was the most frontal assault on the Union since Fort Sumter. The first, violent transfer of power since the cannons fired after Lincoln was elected. The attempt to install himself as the winner over the rightful winner against the will of the majority of the American people, in contravention of the fundamental constitutional principle upon which this nation was founded. That's the first line of the obit. That's the first line of the biography. Like, that is Donald Trump, right? This case is not that.
Right, but
How do you reconcile?
Well, I think this case doesn't preclude that. This case is the first. I mean, we don't know, but I think it's quite possible that this case not only could be the first of several cases, but in some ways this case kind of breaks the ice, right? It demystifies it.
That's a good point.
It makes it, sort of less dramatic if Fani Willis or Jack Smith has to be the one to indict the president next, and to some extent take some of the pressure off of Bragg if that's to happen.
I would argue whether this is that, as we just described, is really irrelevant. This is bad. Felony is bad. Under what analysis do we say, oh, it's only a Class C felony or a multiple? Oh, it's not January 6th. This is still a horrific thing for anybody.
Well, and that's the point that I think that you're seeing in those forums, right? Is that he has spun this kind of reality distortion field, which is like, no one can get me.
If he can get away with fomenting January 6th, an attack on the Capitol, now we're going to get him for some payments to a person that he may or may not have paid for sex and then given her hush money. Like, that's just, it's so small potatoes to these people. Like, they think that he's gotten away with all of this. So why won't he get away with one more thing?
Which is why I do think Tuesday will be a rude awakening in that respect. Well,
you got to use awakening very carefully.
Yeah, no, that's true. There's no permanent awakening. But, Jeremy Saland, Michelle Goldberg, Brandy Zadrozny, thank you all.